How about you, Rez? What are you, who are you playing as? Enough about me. I don't know about the achievements. I am completely new, just trying to somehow understand the game. Well, I could tell you what I know so far. Alright, give me a second. You know what? Screw this run. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something right here. Okay. Completely new, huh? Forget the run that I had. I'll have another one. So, I recommend watching like tutorials and stuff because all these Paradox games are pretty hardcore unless if you played like, you know, the previous or like the other ones like Victoria 3 or like Stellaris or CK3, etc. But they're really demanding. There's a lot of window clicking, a lot of buttons, a lot of windows, but it's worth it's worth. Now, this is the beginning screen. Single player, multiplayer, you're going to be playing single player most of the time, but once you get like decent or you want to play multiplayer, there's servers out there. I'm trying to get into some, but I'm also trying to like learn as well. So in single player, you choose if you want to like, you know, you're starting out fresh or you go straight to the Blitzkrieg. You know, it's pretty much almost September when Hitler goes and invades Poland, and it gets crazy, right? With two friends, but I guess it's like single player. Yeah, it just depends on where you are in the map, and if you guys are working together and you guys can kind of like collab. Usually the allies win, right? Most of the time, every time. But if you're playing like non-historical, things can get chaotic. Um, yeah, just have fun, just mess around, and just chill. So I usually go January 1st. You select a scenario. Now, I play some of the lower nations because I like to build from the ground up. It gives me that civilization feel. I used to play a lot of Sid Meier's Civilization. It's a 4X game. If you don't know, it's a wonderful game. But played like 8K hours of that game. But that kind of gives me a feeling when I play some of these like couple factories off the start, low technologies, 2 research slots. I'll show you what that means. Seems like an understatement. So, what's up, bro? Yeah. So, we're gonna pick Argentina. Um, so I can just show you what's going on. So when you click on it, it'll show you, you know, their buffs, their debuffs, what they got going on. You select the country. You still can choose a different country if you wanted to, but we're gonna stick with this. Hope you're doing good. Just checking in to lurk. I'm doing well, bro. Just grinding Hearts of Iron, and I've been having a lot of fun. It's challenging, so we're slowly learning, and there's just like little knickknacks. Yeah. Um, but I hope you're doing good too, brother. Thank you. So here you have Iron Man mode. This is for achievements and stuff, but like if you change like you know, some rules or whatever, you can't enable Iron Man. Iron Man's that auto save, but you can't save it and it loads in for you. So when you like load in, it's where Iron Man saved it at. So you can't go like, hey, I want to do a really important decision and I want to see if it works or not. Oh, it didn't work. I'm gonna go load the save. It doesn't do that. So you can click that on or off just depending on what you want. We click start. Uh, Save play. Okay, so this is the beginning part of the game. I'm gonna press pause on the music right here. This is the little music button. And you can choose to click all that stuff. That's self-explanatory, so we're not gonna go over that. Okay, so here's your banner, right? Now, this is your dude. It'll show what the dude is, you know, giving you, your leader rights, political power gain. That's this right here, your political power. This is used to enact decisions, important decisions, and help, you know, carve the way to what path you want to take for your nation, right? Whether you want to, you know, be unaligned, be neutral, go communist, fascist, democratic. You get to choose your path. So the more political power you have, the more decision making you can, enact, you can make. So it's really nice. Um, we'll just go through the top so we can just do this. Stability is affecting, like, it'll show right here. It affects your gain, political power gain, like your factories, and if you have really low like stability, you're gonna feel it because it shows right here. It's like, look at factory output, dockyard, resistance target, and occupied territory. So if you have low stability and you're like capturing a lot of territories, well, you're not going to hold them as well as if you had high stability, right? So stability, always keep that, as high as you can. Um, Depending on where you start out in the world, sometimes this is really low. Sometimes you're just going to have to take the hit. Um, there's a lot of taking a step back to take two step forward type of actions. So just because you're taking a hit doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, I made the wrong decision. No, just it means that you have to take the hit in order to climb. So war support. But I know some of the playthroughs where they want zero stability. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to play through that. Sometimes there's going to be like a civil war that happens. I mean, it's not fun when you have that. Like, example, like the Spanish Civil War. It's just going to happen, and it blows. But it's very challenging, and that's just what happens with some of the nations. You can't bypass it unless if something crazy happens, like another player comes along and kind of messes around. Um, Yep. So war support, kind of like the same thing. If you have low war support, people aren't going to like that, and your units are going to. You have like it says mobilization and surrender speed or limit. Yeah, you want good, and this also affects certain policies too. So we're gonna go over here really quick. So your laws of governments, like you can't go over here unless if you have like 25% war support. So you could have the political power needed for it, but if you don't have war support for it, it's not going to enact. You can't enact this. Manpower, if you don't have any manpower, you can't produce any units. So you want to make sure that you have like a good conscription law right here to get as much population as possible. But the further you go down, doesn't always mean like, hey, I'm just gonna get more people. No, sometimes like limited conscription, yeah, you get 2.5%. But if I want extensive conscription, it's 5%. But my training time is increased by 10%. So there's a give and take here. The further down you go from extensive, all the way down to scraping the barrel. Like right here, you get a quarter of your population, right? So if you have 1,000,000 people, you get 250,000 available to you, but your construction, your outputs are crazy. Where I really struggle is when it comes to war and attacking. Okay. Let's just skip to that. So, that's a lot. So we're going to go towards going towards the border. And let's say if I want, so let's say that we get our units right here. And you can shift click.
Órdenes.
Get all the divisions. And we're going to get a dude with high attack. Click this to get a field marshal. Boom. So this guy's underneath the field marshal. So thank you for taking the time to explain all. Yeah, just let me know what you need help with, and we'll just go straight for that, because it's a great game, and I really want you to play it and just understand. I don't know everything, but I'll tell you what I know. Okay.
Órdenes.
So, let's say if we want to attack Uruguay, right? In this tree. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. Cheers. If you ever do play Argentina, this is the way I go for it. You start with Roberto, and then you rush towards fascist researchers. Research slots are important. And then you establish a foothold, which is you get an annex goal, war goal, to Uruguay. So you do this if you want to go to that fast war on your terms. This is great practice right here. So you get that research slot because it scales, right? When you get more research slots, instead of having 2, you have 3, which is effectively 50% more, research right away. So from 2 to 3. So establish a foothold. You get the annex war goal right away, and you can take your, even after you research this, you can take your time and fight whenever you want.
Órdenes.
So you click here, left click, and then you press Z. So Z is the front line right here. You see it says a shortcut right here, Z. Now I'm going to press Z right here. And not right here. You see if I'm, not right here, but right here on their border. Hold right click. Okay. And I'm just going to make this fast. I press plus for this. So all of them are going to line up right there. Okay. Now they're lined up. Now, when someone's lined up right here, sorry, just had an ad. Why don't you tell me, you whack job? Anyways, so what I did was press Z right here. So watch.
En marcha.
So I'm going to delete order right here. So you press Z, which is create a front line. So I left click the units right here, and then I press Z. Z brings up the front line action, and I want to right click right here, and then I want to drag it to where I want my army to be spread out. Now, if the green turns yellow, that means you don't have enough units to cover the whole line. If it turns red, you really don't have units to cover that line, and you need to reinforce it with more people. But if you have green, all the units can cover all the province right here, like all the states here. So we right click. So if I bring these guys like right here, for instance, they're just going to go back to their order right over here. So they're just automatically going to go back. Now they're at the line. Okay. All right. Now we press, so this one is an offensive line. So we have a front line over here. Now we want an offensive line. So when we press play or press like activate, they are going to do that certain, order, that offensive line. So we press X. Now we press X, and that's an offensive line. Now you click here, right click, and then you drag over here. Now let's say if I do something like this, I can go back and backtrack over here. Sometimes it's a little funky, but you just go over here. And let's say if I just want an even line, and I'm like, okay, I just want to like get all of this right here. That's fine. But again, if it turns yellow, that means you don't have enough units to go out. Now, this is your attack plan. So offensive line is important. Yes, it is. And I'm going to show you why. So it's going to tell your units exactly where to go. And usually you're going to point your offensive line towards points that are... So when I'm hovering over this right here on Monte, you'll see that it says urban province, owner, Uruguay, weather, local time, victory point. So victory points, if you capture a certain amount of victory points during the battle, they have a certain limit to where like, hey, you're capturing all of our, cities. Oh my gosh, you captured, our capital, and they'll surrender or capitulate, excuse me, and you'll win. Right? You'll annex that territory or whatever you want to do with that country. Usually you'll have like a conquer or an annex war goal, and you go ahead and, do that. And you can choose to, if you want to take it over, annex it, puppet them, say, hey, change your government. I don't want you to be, fascists, right? Or I want you to be communists, or vice versa, or whatever you want. You could say, hey, I want your resources, whatever it is. So... if you take over the victory, so that's where you want this line to go. You want it to go over victory points. You don't want it to go over just like regular tiles that mean nothing. Like this one is like 1 victory point, right? You would rather go for the 10 piece right here. So this says 10 victory points. This one underneath the local time, as you see over here, it says weather very hot, local time 9 o'clock, victory point 1. You want to go after like the 10 points, okay? Now, if you want to collect like the 1 points along the way, that's good, but you want to go towards the ones that are worth more. Now, when the fight happens, like we're not at war with Uruguay right now, but when it does happen, we're going to press play. But before that, you're going to see a planning bar hover over this, so I don't need to get the whole land under my control. Not all of it. Sometimes you do. Like, and this is Argentina is really great practice for you, because you're going to your first goal is to get Uruguay, and then your second goal is to get Chile. You don't have to do in that order, but I do, and it works out very nice. Chile, and then you go after the Republic of Paraguay. This whack job right here is stubborn. Okay, you have to capture all the territories in Paraguay, and there's like a river system over here, and if you don't have engineers, it's painful. Okay, because engineers help you traverse along rivers and hills and all that stuff faster, and so the reason why that's good is because, like, if you're attacking and then you're like, oh, you can't get past the river because your attack, failed, and you go back to recover. Now you have to go back across the river, and it's going to take you a long time. If it takes the time it takes you to recover and traverse back, the more time your enemy has to recover, right? For then your push is going to be, stalled a little bit longer. So you want to make sure, like, hey, like your support companies, the way your units move, you want to capitalize on whatever you can to get there faster and get that attack faster so they can't recover. Because during this whole time, they're recovering, their recovery rate is like at a certain number. And if you let them just go back to 10, let's say, then they're just going to keep fighting you and pushing you back, and you're just going to lose manpower, and they're just going to, grind you out. So that's going to suck. But usually these small countries don't have that much. So engineers, for the most part, is, I'd say, all around, they're good. They're really good. I think the fan favorite is artillery, because they help a lot with the press and with the defense too. So if we go over here, yeah. So when you research artillery, you can have artillery on. You can have support artillery, where artillery, it says 12 right here for equipment costs. So it's going to pop up right here. It says 12 artillery for the support. So it's going to give you from 27 to 42. It's going to give you 15 attack. It says it right here, like soft attack plus 15. Or if you do a regular artillery, it's going to cost more army experience. But it's going to say, instead of 15 soft attack, it's giving you 25 soft attack. But it's double the amount of artillery, right? So if you want the artillery on your line, it's going to cost you more, and it's going to add on to the width too. Now, yeah, so there's a lot going on right here, but support artillery, you can't go wrong with that. That's very strong, good soft attack. It's super good, right? I would always recommend like having like 2 soft artilleries, like sometimes I have, well, most of the time, sorry, a 9-2 formation with artillery support. Now this is going to cost you 60 artillery for this squadron right here, for this like little division. And then over here you would have a engineer. Now, early in the game, there's like this organization right here, right? This is the amount of organization it takes for your units to, like, go ahead and fight back. If you get unorganized, you don't fight. So the lower this number is, the less ready they are to fight again. So if you get a unit's organization down, and it takes them a long time to recover. It's kind of like your stamina bar, right? The bigger your stamina bar is, your organization, the longer you're going to fight and utilize your attack. The lower this is, the faster you gas out, right? Along with like recovery rate too. So this is your stamina bar, and this is how much you recover your stamina bar. How do I get this up? That's a great question. So there is infantry get this up. So we can just shift this. And as you see 60, so I'm shift clicking right here. This is shift left click. What the hell? Okay, I think it's just a base 60, right? Okay, it's just a base 60. But infantry are pretty good at this. There's yeah, I think it's just base 60. I forgot on this one, but it's a base 60, and then you can get this higher up depending on what your officer corps are. There is a land doctrine, so when you choose, let's say, superior firepower, there's like ones right here in the operations. In this one, it doesn't matter what you choose right here. You could choose whatever. Usually people take superior firepower because your line and support artillery do more damage. But over here in operations, there's organization for your whole, like, divisions is plus 15 base. So that 60 that we just saw is 75. And that's super good. I think that's good. A lot of people take, like, attack, you know, or whatever. I like attack and logistics and, like, I like supply a lot. Because I do grindy battles, and it's just, you feel the difference. And especially when you're playing with civilizations or with nations that are like minor nations that don't have a lot of supply, all the supply that you can keep is volatile. Like it's just good to have. Because if you're just like saying, oh, I'm going to attack, okay, stamina bar's back up, I'm going to attack again, and you keep attacking, you're going to grind through your manpower, and you're going to grind through your supplies that you don't have a lot of factories. Like, I have 15 factories. Majors have, like, 50, 70, I don't know, factories off the bat, right? So their scaling is already mega jump-started, right? Does it help if I build good infrastructure around my borders? So infrastructure is good, but early on, your main thing in the beginning part of the game is to scale. Right? Depending on your situation, let's say if you're not going to get touched, right? Let's say if you are the person that is the aggressor and that's, you know, that has like that's in the driver's seat, right? You're deciding what is going to happen in the near future, or, you know, maybe in 1939. So let's say if you have 3 years of playtime, right? 2 of those years from 1936 to 1938 should be I would say like an 80-20 split on civilian factories and military factories. Because in civilian factories that's your building block. That's the things that are constructing other buildings, right? And the more buildings you have, the more percentage of of consumer goods is going to take. So right now, consumer goods is taking 38% of the 18 civilian factories, which is 6, okay? It's almost 7, right? So, again, you can get these laws down, but, like, your main goal is to build, I build, like, when I'm playing Argentina, I'm going to be fighting early on, but I build, like, 2 military factories, like, right off the bat, okay? So there's going to be a lot that I'm going to say here, so hopefully you're writing it down or just memorizing what I'm saying. So, in the beginning, if I know I'm going to fight, I'm building military factories, that's it. Because, like, maybe a little bit of construction, but if I'm fighting in the near, like in 1937, it doesn't make sense for me to build construction factories when they're not going to do anything for me in the fight, except for repair stuff. You know, it's just not going to happen. Unless if I know I'm going to, like, hold, yeah, there's some, you don't want to be too greedy. But when I play Argentina, I'm gonna do 2 like military factories, and then I'm just gonna build civs, because I don't want to fall behind on equipment either. So you need to find this balance between scaling, which is your civilian factories, right? Civs, and your military factories, which is going to build your equipment and help you with a future push or a future defense, whatever that be. So, example, the infrastructure part. Now we're going to get into the infrastructure, okay? Now, as you see, when I click on the civilian factory right here, it's showing me where I can build at. So 0 out of 2 means I can build, it can hold 2 factories, and there's 0 factories there currently. Okay, which means I can put 2 there. Now there's 40% right here. Now this is your infrastructure. The infrastructure ranges, excuse me, from 20 or from 0, right, all the way to 100%. Okay, so as you see right here, there's 2 out of 5. So every infrastructure gives you 20%. So we'll go back to this one. So there's 2 infrastructure, 2 times 20 equals 40, okay? This is how fast you can build on that. The more infrastructure there, the faster you can build a building there. So if I have 0%, I'm building it at normal pace. If I have 100%, I'm building it at double the pace, okay? So it's good. So like at this, so example right here, if I'm going to build civilian factories right now, I would like to build it at the 60%, but I'm 8 out of 8. So until I get more building slots there, I'm going to have to wait. So I'm going to go to the next best thing. And I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, there's 40s. I'm going to shift click. So shift, left click. And now it says 1 plus 3. Those 3 go right here. And we're going to do it like this. But would it make sense to build streets? So building roads is another thing here. You want to build roads to where you want to go. Don't just build them freaking everywhere, and don't build high levels of railroads. If you build high levels of railroads, it's going to get giga expensive really quick, because it's 170 plus 130 per existing railways, and you could do 5 times that, because railways go to 5, right? I recommend doing either level 1 to level 2. I do level 2 so I can just get to where I need to go, and my infantry can move around with decent ease, because having a road there is better than not. And this is going to help with your supply line. So if there's no road there, they're not really getting really decent supply. They're getting somewhat supply from this node, but usually the roads are there to get to you, where you want to go, and to connect you to that supply line. Now, if there's no road, so if there's no road connecting your capital, right, because this supply only gets to that location through the road from your capital. So if that road is not connected to your capital, you're not going to receive any supply there. There's going to be like a little circle, like with a line mark on there saying, hey, you can't get supply because it's not connected to the capital. So it either connects to the capital through a road, or through like a harbor with a convoy. So we could get supply through here if there's access from your capital over here, which there is. Let's see. Yeah. There's a lot, but it definitely is worth it. I wanted to say, the hardest things in the game is probably naval, which is not looked at or barely talked about. Air is easier, and land is easiest. I think air is easiest, actually, because it's just you click what the mission is and they go do their mission. So I always should be connected to the capital. Yes. And if I have, let's say, a level 2 railroad right here, this doesn't matter, only for speed from here to here. Okay? But the amount of supply is determined by the level of railway that's connected to the capital. So this all has to be 2 in order for me to get 2 supply, double the amount of supply over here from railroad. So you don't understand air at all? Okay. So, I think the hardest thing about air is, making the plane for it. But you press F3. And this is fun right here. Okay. So, this is how many planes we have. We have 32 planes, 20 fighter wings, and 12 close air support. Close air, it's called CAS, CAS. Fighters are, they're the ones shooting other planes down. CAS is the one that's shooting units on the floor. It's ground support. Okay? So now we're just going to click on fighter wing. Now let's say, and this is when we have this, both of them have a radius right here. This is where they can go. Now, if we wanted to get closer to the battle, we would need to, let's say if we wanted to go over here, we would, let's see if, can't really go over here. It'll just do that annoying click. But if I wanted to go over here, I would need to extend my range on the plane, which is like, a module, like extra fuel tanks. Or I would need to move the plane closer to like another air base, like over here or something. Okay, there's no air base over here, so we can't get over there with our plane. Okay, but let's say we wanted to fight here. We're in the radius. Okay, this is what we would do. Now, just the fighter wing, right? This is your actions right here. Now, the fighter wing could either, now the grayed out, this makes it hella easy right here. I know there's a lot here, but this makes it easier on your eyes to knowing what's going on. The colored actions right here, so this like little, what's this, orange, yellow, and, green gear, everything, and then there's the red and the red over here. These are the actions you can click. So there's only 3 actions you can click out of this whole freaking bar. Everything that's grayed out is an action that this plane is not suited to do. Okay? So the fighter is not suited to do close air support. Now the close air support can do this. You see? This is a close air support. Can do a close air support mission, and can also do a naval strike mission and logistics strike. Okay? Logistics would be shooting down, it says trains and trucks right there, There's also like other cool things where you can do, what else? I think it is just logistics, such as trains and trucks. I guess that also is like like the factories. I thought there was also going to be a factory one right here, but I don't do that when that's something I have to do more often. But like I don't. I just usually, when I'm playing Argentina, I just do 2 things: fighters and close air support. So let's go back to the fighters. Now fighters, they have 3 actions: pilot exercises, which is, it's kind of like, it's like army exercises. We'll go to that really quick. So if I click the army, I can click this, and it will exercise the army. This gear will start rolling, and the army will exercise until affinity. Or I can shift click, and it will train until it's level 3, until it's fully trained. It's as much as it can train, be trained, with an exercise. The units can get to a higher level only with battle, not with exercise. Exercise only goes to level 3. Okay. So back to air. Now with the air, we're going to go back to our 20 fighters. You can do pilot exercises. You can lose planes like this, okay? Like just how you exercise with army, how you do, like you'll lose weapons, you'll lose supply, maybe you'll lose a little bit of manpower. Nothing too crazy. It's usually just, I think it's just supplies, okay? Like your guns and your like gosh, I can't believe I forgot what the hell it's called. And your support equipment, okay? That's the things you'll lose. Now, with pilot exercises, you can crash, right? So you'll lose planes, but you'll still get XP. You'll get XP through whatever type of exercise you're doing in that specific, area, whether it be Army, Navy, or Air. Okay, so let's go back to this. So I get through fighters. Yes. Okay. So air superiority is making sure you're getting, air superiority in that area, okay? And that allows you to do more actions with other units, okay? let's say if the enemy is sending, ground, CAS, close air support, which is striking down your units, well, you don't want none of that. So you want to shoot those planes out of the sky, and if you have air superiority, they can't send those planes. Now they got to send their own fighters if they haven't already. But let's say if they're being greedy and they're like, well, I don't think you're going to do air support as much, and if you don't have planes, you're screwed in that area, right? Their planes are going to attack your ground units, and they're going to have an edge, okay? So you would click air superiority right here, and you just click it, and it's like that. And then you right-click on the area that you want to, to do that mission. This mission would be air superiority, okay? Now, there's only two things you do as a fighter right here: air superiority and interception. So interception would be it does interception after, like, on the secondary for air superiority, as you see right here, attempting to achieve air superiority by engaging enemy fighters, and secondary enemy bombers and other planes. Okay, so it's always going to do like an interception, but as its second, it's a secondary. Its first task, kill the other fighters, right? Because if you kill the other fighters, then it can focus solely on the bombers. Now there's interception. Attempt to prevent enemy planes from doing missions in the region, such as bombing or close air support. Okay. So this right here would be to kill the CAS. Focus solely on killing the close air support or bombing. They're sending bombers to kill, destroy your factories and stuff, which you'll see, right? You'll see it in the tab right here, your construction tab, where there'll be, like, flashing buildings where it'll destroy your infrastructure, your roads, your factories and such. As long as the range, yes, exactly. It's that easy. Yep. So we click F3. Okay, and then close air support. I want to do close air support in this region. Now, with the air superiority, you'll see this area. If it's green, that means you have air superiority. If it's yellow, that means it's contested. And if it's red, that means you don't have it, they have it, right? So that just says to you, hey, I need to have more planes out here. Or you can say, I don't need this many planes, right? If you have 1,000 planes, right? Then, or like in this case, if I have 1,000 planes and I put them all right here, you can put all 1,000 planes right here, but as in anything, it gets a debuff, right? So the more planes you have over the amount, the more of a debuff you're going to have. So example, if I have 25 out of 24 right here for my army, I'm going to get a little bit of a debuff for having over the limit. So you want to be careful on that too. That's why you would need, like, to be like, oh, I can't put 400 planes here or 201, right? You want to do the exact amount or less in this area, because you don't want a debuff. You want to utilize your efficiency, and say, hey, I'm going to put some here and here and here, and work around that. And pumping out planes doesn't make sense as well. No. I mean, you want to have like a stockpile, but not pumping them out in a certain area. You want to be like, okay, you want to just make use of it. If you're green in the area, you can click. So when I click over here, so we're just clicking. That's it. So we're in the air. So this is Army, Navy, Air. Now I'm just left clicking on this area. Now it's going to tell me what area I clicked on, and it's going to tell me the details of it. It's going to say, hey, like right now, like we have our air detection, what's going on, our efficiency, and their mission efficiency. Okay? Enemy air detection, we don't see anybody. We have people in the area. There's nobody over here. Okay, and it's going to tell us what is going on. This is our active planes. Hold on. Okay. going to tell us our mission efficiency, you know, what's happening, like rain. To be honest, I don't look at this that much. I just say, I got green air, cool. I got yellow air, more planes. That easy. There's too many other things happening in the game, but when you do play like multiplayer, you're not playing on 5 speed. I'm playing on 4 to 5 speed, trying to get through it. That's just what's happening, right? If you want to bring out more planes in the area, let's say like there's like 200 right here. Sorry, there's 200. Capacity 0 out of 200 airplanes. I click on add a new air wing, and it'll show me the planes I have in reserve to put in that air wing. Just have to try it out now. Yep. Kind of understand it now. Yeah, it takes rounds. You get your rounds in there. It definitely is a lot of learning by doing. You should have seen me play EU5. I was playing Tirona, which is right here on the map. And they don't even start with the freaking alphabet. And the tutorial, and I watch tutorials. Some of the people in the tutorials, they don't know what they're doing, and they'll openly admit it. I don't know what this is, so I'm gonna automate it. And I'm like, huh? I played that damn game. Hoi 4 is a lot easier. Yeah, but I had to learn the hard way there. Yeah, that was not the greatest experience. I literally clicked 100 buttons and opened up like 50 windows just to increase my ducats by 0.02. It was devastating. It was crazy. But anyways, um, tips. If one of the biggest things is thinking about your scaling. So as we were saying, our scaling. Let's say if you're not going to get touched for like 3 years, build your civs for like 2 years. Every year analyze, hey, what's going on around the map? What do I need to do? Who's doing what? And say, okay, this is happening, and adapt, right? Now, if you know for sure, like everything's cool, like you're checking every year, okay, you know, build your civilian factories for 2 years. Take a look around. You could possibly greed out until 1939, just depending on what you want to do. After that, as well as you thinking about your political power. Political power is king. Now, there's certain advisors. There's one, look at your advisors that's going to help you get more political power. Such as, there's like a workhorse, silent workhorse. If you see this guy, political power gain, plus 15%. So you're spending political power to get more political power, okay? That's good. But the number one thing to do at the beginning of the game is to get out of civilian economy. This is really bad, okay? Sometimes you can't help it with certain nations that you're in. Excuse me. And you're just going to have to take the hit. So you have to put that on the back burner, but make sure to go back to the burner and get rid of it, okay? Because conversion costs, we don't care about that. Converting early in the game is giga bad unless if you have to, right? Fuel gain, fuel capacity, that's whatever. But the top one, expected number of factories put on consumer goods is 35, okay? So if you have 100 factories, right? 35 of them are going towards just your population, towards nothing. It's just fugazi. It's gone, right? It's nothing. As well as the bottom, your military and civilian factory construction speed is down by 30%. Okay, so it makes it like if you have 10 civilian factories on a factory, making a factory, it's like you have 7, right? It's bad. Now you want to go to partial mobilization. War economy is great, right? That's great, but go to war economy as fast as you can. Partial mobilization, that's a great start. You do that, you see those debuffs, 30% less on military and civilian. Those are all gone, and you get 10% on military. So that's a 40% effective, swing on military, and it's a 30% swing on civilian. It's super good. Plus, it's 10% lower consumer goods that you get that your consumers are taking from you for factories. Civilian is 35%, partial mobilization is 25%. Now, it gets better the more you go down, but there's this minus 30%. There's coal in the game. So, depending on if you have like the DLC or not, coal gets introduced in the game. The further you go down, the more coal you're going to use for your buildings. Okay? It'll say factory energy consumption is 25%. And how you deal with this is really quick. There's two electrical grid buildings. One is reinforced and one is high capacity. You put so high capacity, it says resource gain per infrastructure. You're going to put this on heavy resource states. Okay? So you wouldn't put this on here because there's no resources right here. You would put this on a 35.5, right? This is 40 resources. You would click this and you would put that right here. Now the more infrastructure there, so if there's 5 infrastructure, you're going to effectively get 50% resource for that gain, which is a lot, okay? Now the other one, I just right-clicked right there. Now the other one is factory energy required per infrastructure, minus 7.5, okay? That's 37.5% when it's maxed, when you have max infrastructure. So you would put this on a province or on a state, I call these province, whatever, state, on something that doesn't have a resource but has a high factory count. So out of all of this, once I have space right here, I'm going to put a reinforced electrical grid, right, on this because the energy requirement right here is higher than let's say this 1 out of 2 because I have 8 factories that are taking coal compared to only 1 factory that's taking coal. So you want to put this right here, okay? And this high electrical grid, you want to put on your high resource, okay? Is that good enough, or what else you got? I hope you like that. There's a lot to the game, but it is extremely fun. It's very challenging, and it has a lot of replayability, which is something that I've been searching for. Yeah, thank you so far. Anytime, bro. Anytime. Huh. Yeah. There's a lot of information, but very helpful. Make sure, so like when you're listening to me, or listening to anybody that's giving you information, you're only going to retain like, what is it, like 10, maybe 15%. Make sure you're writing this stuff down. So all this stuff, anything that you can remember me saying, I will maybe throw a YouTube video or something right here. I'm going to, post this on, Twitch, like it's going to be on whatever. But make sure to write this stuff down so you can retain more. And then once you retain more from that, teach your friends what you've learned right here, and then you retain even more, okay? It's something like 80 to 90% when you teach it back. So that's going to be really helpful for you and for the person that's, for your friends that are learning from you. If you didn't know that or not already, just saying that. Teaching them somewhat, good. Improve worker conditions is pretty good too, by the way. Kind of understands the game. But good, you guys got a long journey ahead of you, and it's going to be fun. Yeah. 1%, they understand nothing.